And welcome back to the Madlanga Commission. We're coming to you live from the Bridget Mabandla Justice College, and it is day 51 of the Commission's proceedings. Well, joined right now by Criminologist Professor Kholofelo Rakubu, who is, of course, from the Tshwane University of Technology. Prof, good to have you with us again. And it's been quite an eventful start to the Madlanga Commission proceedings for 2026. But I want to pick up from a criminologist point of view. When you have senior members of the South African Police Service implicated in wrongdoing as per the interim report and what a statement was released by the presidency last week, how does that affect and impact an institution such as SABC?
Good morning, Happy New Year. It impacts multiple institutions, not only SABC, the communities, public trust, democracy. A lot is compromised by that. But service delivery has been questioned for quite some time, for more than decades now. We know we've got beautiful policies, we've got beautiful policies in general, but the question has always been, why are we not winning the battle against crime? So the commission of this caliber signifies and unearth all those issues that have been hindering crime prevention, crime control, or South Africa winning the battle against crime. Then it talks to simple operations, how compromised are they? It talks to the powers that are given to criminal syndicates. The reason they thrive is because they are able to manipulate high echelon within justice cluster. So we now understand why we're not winning the battle against crime. We now understand why South Africa is not moving, because those that are entrusted with responsibilities to protect South Africans are not doing so. So what we've had from these commissions are some of the issues or underlying factors around the comfortability or laxity to commit crime, decisions to commit crime in South Africa, talks to compromised municipal structures, talks to compromised SAPS or prosecutorial structures, if I were to say so, or bodies. It talks to the compromised oversight bodies and the silent civil structures, and also lack of political will. So it's a lot of things, but we're just learning that no, we're not going anywhere, because something needs to change when it comes to appointment within the justice cluster.
And what do you believe can be done in the immediate term to try and turn things around?
We understand reform is urgent, right, to protect democracy. And also from the interim report, we know that vetting is very critical, right? And also the compromised institutions within justice cluster that protect whistleblowers. Many officers know and knew of what was happening, but because of the compromised structures, they couldn't come to forward. And again, from this commission now, what needs to be done is to urgently attend to long-standing issues with whistleblower protection. What is available within municipal structures that a particular officer will be comfortable to blow that whistle and feel protected. So from this commission, we also understand that vetting, because vetting came as a serious issue. Vetting is very critical. And again, deployment, suspensions, and also employment reviews, because we get to understand that people that do not qualify to hold certain positions are in those positions. And from the commissions also, we're learning that we're very slow to respond. For example, now Senona has been asked to vacate office, right? And you can imagine, when was his name implicated? We waited for the report, for interim report, and for him to even come here and talk to issues that have already been raised long time ago. But he was left in office. So from this commission, we now learn that we are very slow to respond. We don't take victims' protection to heart, because if we did, should there be any mention of what has transpired, obviously there would have been urgent or swift mechanisms in place to ensure that we deal away with such individuals with within the system.
These individuals, of course, claim political motives. And so, how do you deal with the question of accountability vis-a-vis political persecution, as they claim? Because on the one hand, you're saying we want to hold people accountable for what they've done, and those people then say, no, I'm being persecuted because of someone's political standing.
That has been very common, right? We've had that quite a lot. But let's look at evidence at hand. Let's look at the nature of transgressions. Let's look at evidence before we can even claim such that, okay, because I hold a particular narrative, therefore, no. Let's look at evidence at hand. Last week alone, we've seen evidence where officers were compromised. Critical information was shared with someone who's not supposed to receive. Then we can't even talking politics in that regard. You are infiltrated, you were compromised, you were working with syndicates, or you are working with syndicates. Let's move politics aside. Evidence at hand. There's so much evidence, and I think history is teaching us that evidence will always be there. But what is it that happens to that evidence? That is what I'm sure most South Africans are interested in. Yes, we see there has been infiltration, there has been overstepping, there's corruption, there's this and that. Then what? What's going to happen? That is the most
accountability that South Africans want.
Yes, we can't be hearing of suspensions placed on special leaves and so forth. We need something different. What happens to you when you have compromised a police officer's integrity, community safety, or family safety, for example?
Again, the law operates on the facts. And as far as the law is concerned, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
But on the table, it's provable. I think in this commission, there has been most verifiable evidence, right? Where texts, where information could be traced from where it's from and to where it ended. Transactions have been proved, right? I understand the president accepted or welcomed recommendations, and again, but we largely interested in what then? You accept, you refer for further investigation, and you even wish for prosecution where necessary. South Africans need to be kept in the loop with regard to what then? What kind of investigations are underway with evidence at hand? Because now we need that accountability ladder. We need to see someone in prison so that 20 years to come we can revisit all this to say, okay, this happened and this was the decision. We need democracy. It needs to be protected.
At this point, should we not temper our expectations? Because up until day 51, what we've heard in the main is about what's been happening at SABC, what's been happening at EMPD. We've barely touched on what's happening with the judiciary, who've also been mentioned.
Yeah.
And we've seen some politicians coming through. So if you look at the criminal justice system as a whole, then the whole issue of the judiciary also becomes central. And if people have been blocking, prosecutions and shielding criminal elements allegedly, then surely you need to deal with the other elements as well.
I don't think we have arrived there yet. We've dealt with two legs, right? Because remember in the beginning, we got to understand how certain individuals were granted bails inappropriately. And that has been silent so far. We've just been dealing with those within subs, those within metros and their dealings. But we have not even touched on those who have received those brown envelopes to grant those bails inappropriately, because with this evidence on the floor, on the table, that suggests that a particular individual was in and out for more than 18 or 19 times. But that, so far, it's silent. And I think South Africans are interested in that regard, because you can arrest, you can prosecute as much as you want. But if now the prosecutorial body is largely compromised and there's so much silence, because if you analyze the report, it still gives prosecutorial bodies power. yet it's found to be infiltrated. Yet there's so much silence around its decisions, prior decisions that led to where we are. We're also largely interested in the paradigm shift in that regard. What's happening? Who left office? What are major changes? What is been brought forward amidst all these allegations? What's new? I'm clueless when it comes to that. What's new? What can give South Africa benefit of doubt that this is going to move?
This is the problem that South Africans have, because some would say they have commission fatigue at this point because of the lack of follow through, the fact that they haven't seen high profile people being held accountable.
That's true. Some are still in office, some have been deployed, some still are holding critical offices because of the experience we got from your Zondo commissions and all other commissions with voluminous findings, right? But there hasn't been one person that is in jail right now or serving sentence. There has been deployment and so forth. So it is justifiable that they lose a bit of trust when it comes, or believe when it comes to that, because we anticipate it, we're hoping it will happen, but it requires political will, if I were to say so. Purely political will. We can say so much, but political will is required.
So we'll see how far that political will goes, given that politicians have themselves been implicated in this whole saga. So that's where we'll leave it for now. We're going to take you back to Auckland Park. That's for the news with Leanne, and Kenny and I will be back shortly. Leanne?